Now, when we use inheritance, so definitely we know what inheritance is by now, that all the attributes and functions belonging to a class uh, become the members of the derived class. Fine. So if we have, like in the given example, if we have a function animal sound present in my base class, and I have the same function with no change in parameters in my derived class, then we say that the base class function has been overridden by the derived class function. Okay, so the derived class is overriding the meaning of the function which was originally present in my base class. Fine. Okay. So ultimately, inheritance is also allowing to perform a single action in different ways. Okay. Any doubt up till now? So whatever method or function overriding we saw, uh, with respect to that, we are saying that we can have multiple ways or different ways of doing the same task or taking the same action in case of a inheritance scenario also. Fine. In case of non-inheritance scenario, that means we have a single class. And in that, if we want to include polymorphism, then there's a need to have functions with different set of arguments, but the same name. And in case of inheritance scenario, where we have a derived class and a base class. So if there is a function defined in my base class, the same function, I mean, same in the case of its name and the set of arguments, the same function should be present in my derived class. Only then I can say the base class function has been overridden by the derived class function. Okay. I hope the basic idea is clear. So this is called as, on the right hand side, what you can see is called as function overloading. And this particular scenario is called as function overriding. Clear? Now, there is one catch in this that I want to highlight, and I want you all to understand. If I have a member function in my base class, like there is a add function in my base class having no parameters at all, and I have a member function in my derived class with the same name, but it is having a argument. Now, can we call, I mean, if we try to understand, is this a scenario of function overriding? Anyone?
No, sir.
Definitely not. Because for function overriding, what is the prerequisite? The function name should be the same, okay, but the argument list should also be the same, which is not the case over here. Okay, now if I go ahead in my main, if I try to create object of this derived class, maybe D is my derived class. If I create object small d and I call d dot add. Okay, I'm having some problem with this pen tab today. Anyways, we'll execute this quickly. We have a class A, and big part we are having a function I'm not writing the conventional definition for add function. Just to see which function is getting executed, I'm writing a cout statement into it. Right? So we'll say base, and same class that is publicly inheriting from class derived class. Now, this is a typical example of function overloading, since add function in my base class and the add function in my derived class are having the same names. Now, if I create object uh, of, of the class B and I call add, which function should get called? The overriding one, derived class, B class one, right? So we should observe derived as output. Yeah, there we go. Now, the case that we are discussing is if base class is having no argument, but the derived class is having an argument, any set of arguments, then this cannot be considered as an overriding scenario, right? Because function names are same, but parameter list is different. Now, if I go ahead and call the function with default parameter, do should I get what should I get as output? Should I get derived or should I get base? Base. The reason why I'll get base is not because uh, I mean the base function, whatever got inherited in my derived class, that version is getting called. Okay, that is the main reason. This function is not allowed. I mean, we'll see that case also. See here. What is the reason it's saying? No matching function for the call, whatever with default parameters. The candidate function that it is expecting is with a integer. Why we got the error? Because the candidate, I mean the function that is present in my derived class, that is the candidate function for this call, is expecting one argument. Now you would say it's okay. After deriving, I mean after the derived class is created, there should be a add function present over here, which is having no arguments, right? After the uh, B class is created, right? But it doesn't happen that way. Derived class, it can have multiple functions of its own, but there cannot be a base class function coming into the derived class and having a different signature. I mean, different set of parameters and the same name. This cannot happen. Understood? That is why you can see there's an error. Clear? I can have a add function in my derived class, which is a native function of my derived class. Like this, for example, if I declare add over here. Okay. Now this add is a native function of my derived class. Right? I can have this add function, and if I give a call, this function would get executed. Fine. But if I don't define this function and I expect that this add function will be inherited and that should get executed when I call add without any arguments, then that expectation is not true. That does not happen. Clear? If I define a function add over here like this, whatever definition I put, that is as good as overriding the function. So yes, I can have an overridden function in my derived class.